Evolution by natural selection as speculation. While the hypothesis proposed by Charles Darwin and Alfred Russel Wallace regarding natural selection is widely accepted in the scientific community, it is important to critically examine the foundation of this theory and consider the arguments that suggest it may be speculative. Here are key points that challenge the robustness of evolution by natural selection. Lack of direct observation. One of the primary criticisms is that evolution by natural selection has not been directly observed on a macro scale. While microevolutionary changes, small changes within a species, are documented, there is a lack of direct evidence for macroevolution, large-scale changes leading to new species. The transition from one major kind of organism to another remains speculative because it cannot be observed within a human lifetime. Transitional fossils. Proponents of evolution often point to transitional fossils as evidence of gradual change. However, critics argue that the fossil record is incomplete and does not provide a clear, unbroken chain of intermediate forms. Many so-called transitional fossils are disputed or have been reinterpreted. The gaps in the fossil record challenge the notion of a continuous, observable evolutionary process. Genetic complexity. The complexity of genetic information and the mechanisms required for significant evolutionary changes are not fully understood. Critics argue that the random mutations and natural selection mechanisms proposed by Darwinian evolution are insufficient to account for the complexity and functionality of genetic information. The intricate interdependence of biological systems suggests design rather than random mutation and selection. Irreducible complexity. The concept of irreducible complexity, introduced by biochemist Michael Behe, posits that certain biological systems cannot be simplified without losing their functionality. Examples like the bacterial flagellum and the blood-clotting cascade are presented as systems that could not have evolved through a series of gradual steps, as each component is essential for the system's operation. This challenges the gradualism central to Darwinian evolution. Alternative explanations. There are alternative explanations for the diversity of life that do not rely on natural selection and random mutations. Some scientists and scholars propose theories such as intelligent design, which suggests that life is the product of an intelligent cause rather than an undirected process. These alternatives argue that the evidence for design is more compelling than the evidence for undirected evolution. Speculative nature of natural selection. Critics argue that natural selection is a tautological concept, stating that the fittest survive without providing a clear mechanism for defining fitness beyond survival. This circular reasoning makes it difficult to test natural selection as a scientific hypothesis. The adaptability and survival of organisms are often cited as evidence for natural selection, but these observations can also be interpreted as evidence of inherent design and adaptability within species. Conclusion. While evolution by natural selection is a well-established theory in modern science, it is not without its critics. The lack of direct observation of macroevolution, gaps in the fossil record, the complexity of genetic information, irreducible complexity, and the speculative nature of natural selection are significant challenges that suggest the theory may be more speculative than conclusive. It is essential to approach the theory with critical thinking and consider alternative explanations that may better account for the observed complexity and diversity of life.